As July arrives, so does the peak of summer across much of the globe. But amidst the sunshine and warm temperatures, this month also marks the height of the Atlantic hurricane season. So always remember to be prepared. Hello there, welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. It's Tuesday, the 2nd of July, and we have a captivating lineup just for you.
Yo, this is We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan, and this is your JS News for Tuesday, July 2, 2024. Government has activated emergency measures under the Disaster Risk Management Act, DRMA, as Jamaica is placed under hurricane warning due to the approach of the now Category 5 Hurricane Beryl. The law grants additional authority to coordinate and execute a range of emergency response activities with flexibility, and the decision to invoke orders under the Act was taken in a meeting of the Cabinet yesterday.
This is very important. It's very important to, one, establish that there is a disaster and that emergency rules would kick in. Very important for accountability afterwards. It will also be important for guiding our security forces, particularly in the taking of preemptive actions to prevent looting, which we have seen instances of this in disasters past, and we will not have and countenance any such thing in this pending emergency.
As the country prepares for Beryl, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is urging Jamaicans who live in vulnerable areas to heed evacuation warnings and seek safe shelter at the earliest opportunity. He points out that at some point during the hurricane, the services of the Jamaica Defence Force and Fire Brigade will become inaccessible for evacuations, as they will need to secure their aircraft, boats and fire trucks, as well as ensure the safety of their personnel.
So this means that as citizens, you have to look at the threat to your immediate environment and make the right decision about evacuation. It is always a sensitive and touchy subject. I quite well understand people don't want to leave their property, they worry about security, but the most important thing is your life.
Hurricane Beryl is currently projected to pass just south of Jamaica tomorrow, bringing with it extremely dangerous winds, storm surge, widespread rainfall and thunder showers. Morning showers and isolated thunderstorms across southern and northwestern parishes are projected for Thursday. As the country braces for the hurricane, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is assuring citizens that government is making the necessary arrangements to ensure it is able to respond after the system has passed and that critical supplies are in place.
We are in touch with the commercial trade to ensure that we have sufficient stocks in place, that persons can be able to at least have access to food and water after the hurricane has passed.
He adds that Petrojam has 2 to 3 weeks supply of finished petroleum products to keep the market supplied with fuel. General Manager of Petrojam Limited, Telroy Morgan, assures that the company is also on standby to address emergency supply issues for hospitals and other critical facilities. Energy Minister Darrell Vaz also addressed the matter during Monday's press briefing at Jamaica House.
So we are in good stead and have arrangements for backup once we know what the true situation is.
Critical facilities like hospitals are being urged to ensure they have products reserved for at least 5 days in case roads become inaccessible. In support of that, Petrojam extended the opening hours of its loading racks in Kingston and Montego Bay yesterday and today to facilitate adequate access to fuel supplies. The Ministry of Health and Wellness advises that 3 days of fuel, water and food supplies are in place at all health facilities. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besason-McKenzie says field hospitals are being evacuated and the help of the JDF is being sought to have the structures pulled down in anticipation of a direct hit from Hurricane Beryl.
We're pulling in, of course, as usual, our vaccine supplies to ensure that there is adequate cold management of all our supplies.
As government continues its hurricane preparedness response, the National Works Agency (NWA) says drain cleaning has intensified across the island with the allocation of $1 million to each constituency. Chief Executive Officer E.G. Hunter says special attention is being given to the Wikiwaki and Sandy Gullies in St. Andrew as the accumulation of sediments in these waterways impacts the bridges on Spanish Town Road and Washington Boulevard.
So we started cleaning the Sandy Gully in those particular areas over the weekend, and we will continue. We've also tackled the South and the North Gully in St. James, Danvers Pen in St. Thomas, lowland areas in Kingston, Portmore, Seaview Gardens. Those areas are being given special attention.
Drain cleaning has also taken place in Ocho Rios and St. Anne's Bay. Meanwhile, motorists are being advised that due to the torrential rainfall being projected for the island, flooding is expected for Marcus Garvey Drive in Kingston.
So flooding on Marcus Garvey Drive is largely impacted by Richmond Park, Crossroads, Papine, all the way down, and it ends on Marcus Garvey Drive. So we have taken the precaution to do some cleaning in that area. But again, as I said before, we are really realistic. The intensity of the rains that are anticipated will overwhelm the existing capacity of the drains in those areas. So some flooding will be expected, and we advise the public to adhere to the warnings.
The municipal corporations have also been carrying out drain cleaning exercises. Transportation and other essential services are also being secured. The two major airports will remain open until it is no longer safe for aircrafts to fly. And the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC buses will be available to transport persons to shelters. The National Water Commission has lifted all water restrictions starting today to allow people to store the commodity. The NWC says it will also fill all its water storage tanks, have adequate gasoline storage to facilitate the trucking of water, and reinstate all pumping stations that were out of service. Acting President Kevin Carr says the agency's contact list will also be updated and shared with ODPEM and the municipal corporations.
We will operate all facilities up to the point when there is no power supply. I am also sharing that there are some critical facilities that have standby capacity to serve all the areas where hospitals are located.
On the matter of security, the nation has been assured that adequate police officers are available for deployment. Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake says measures are in place to secure shelters and patrol highways and business districts.
Our mobile patrol will be concentrating primarily within the domestic spaces and the business districts. And our quick response, which may be extremely relevant given what may happen on our roadway, will be out in their full numbers to help to respond to incidents and also to protect our business communities.
Dr. Blake adds that a liaison system has been established to coordinate communication across all 19 police divisions and with disaster stakeholders. The police will be supported by the Jamaica Defence Force, JDF. All 870 emergency shelters across the island are on standby for opening. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie gave that update on Monday.
Relief supplies have been already secured. Our parish disaster coordinators are in a state of readiness. Our shelter managers are also in a state of readiness.
He says the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be able to maintain reliable connection with critical agencies and vulnerable communities through a major upgrade to its communication system. In addition, the head of ODPEM, Richard Thompson, says a series of meetings have been taking place since last Thursday to coordinate response at the parish level.
Looking at aspects of shelter, relief distribution, pre-positioning, evacuation of our threatened areas, looking at scenario development. We did 3 scenario development for the impending system. We will be now doing a more detailed scenario development now that we have seen that it will track to the south side of us.
Meanwhile, the local government ministry is working to secure infirmaries and the homeless population across the country.
There are 2 infirmaries that will be relocated if needs become necessary. That's in Trelawney, and the other is in St. Anne, which is next door to the ocean. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, that the infirmaries, the protocols that we are going to be putting down during this period, that the public recognize and acknowledge these protocols.
Minister Desmond McKenzie further indicates that all municipal corporations are coordinating efforts to transport homeless individuals to designated drop-in centres, infirmaries or shelters. Additionally, arrangements are being made for persons who are physically challenged and live alone. A list with those individuals has been made available.
The municipal corporations have now issued instructions that these persons must be found, and the necessary arrangements are being made to take them to the necessary locations that are being provided in the respective parishes.
And finally, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries has been collaborating with the JDF and the Coast Guard to assist in evacuating fisherfolk from the coast. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says the ministry has activated a fully operational VHF radio system to provide updates to fisherfolk.
We're asking our officials to utilize the channels on the South Coast 24 and 25, on the North Coast 26 and 27, as we are providing updates via those channels. Again, if you're on the Keys, you should already be making your way home.
In addition, the ministry has dispatched a team of extension officers to flood-prone areas such as Clarendon, St. Elizabeth and St. Anne. Livestock farmers are also being assisted with moving their animals to high ground, and equipment has been deployed to agri-parks in Clarendon and St. Thomas to assist with drainage clearance.
What we have been doing is moving equipment to strategic location across various parishes so that they will be available to assist farmers with emergency response, especially in our coffee belt in Portland, St. Thomas, and East Rural and West Rural, St. Andrew.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Our government remains dedicated to making decisions that benefit our nation's interests. Now, let's review some of the decisions taken at the office of the Prime Minister in the past week.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness last week handed over 50 new assorted vehicles to the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA. The fleet, which cost $1.3 billion, includes crane and tipper trucks as well as compactor trucks and smaller units referred to as Scouts. These have significantly improved the agency's capacity to tackle bulky waste and go into communities with narrow lanes. Prime Minister Holness points out that renewing the fleet of the NSWMA has been consistent since 2016.
In 2016, when we just took over, we were able to do 4 garbage trucks. In 2017, we were able to do 13 garbage trucks. In 2018, we did 17 garbage trucks. In 2019, we did 11 garbage trucks. Steadily investing and renewing the fleet. And even during the pandemic in 2020, we were still able to invest in our fleet. We bought 20 new garbage trucks even during the pandemic. In 2022, we made our largest acquisition yet, with 50 new garbage trucks.
The NSWMA's fleet now stands at 165, and Mr. Holness has given assurance that more investments will be made to increase the agency's capacity even further.
As the economy continues to be stable and as it continues to grow, we are going to make a priority out of allocating the dividends of that growth to ensuring that we have the capabilities of keeping our municipalities, our townships, keeping your road, your beaches, your parks, your markets clean. So, what you're seeing here is a significant investment in keeping Jamaica clean.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holness says the $2.5 billion Clean Up Jamaica campaign will have a targeted plastic removal component which will be incentivized. The Prime Minister says the program, which was mentioned in his budget presentation in March this year, is being structured to determine the implementation process. Approximately 90% of the garbage that litter the roadways are plastics, and this program aims to reduce that figure significantly.
So yes, there will be a component to remove bulky waste. There will be a component to generally clean important corridors, parks, and critical urban municipalities, town centers as you call them. But there will be a component where we will pay people to collect plastic and we will buy the plastic back from them. That's the objective. So in other words, we will create a market for waste plastics.
Mr. Holness says the economic opportunity to be derived from this initiative should spur people into action to collect waste plastics or properly store empty containers for sale to recycling plants. The $2.5 billion Clean Up Jamaica campaign will run for several budget cycles to treat with deep-rooted garbage pollution issues.
It is not going to be like other cleanup programs that we have had. This program will have institution and endurance, meaning we'll put a structure in place to make sure that it is run by rules, it is transparent, it affords participation of the citizens, and the objectives are transparent and understood.
According to Mr. Holness, the collection of plastic waste will also support the garbage separation program being carried out on a small scale by the NSWMA in a few communities.
The intention is to increase the capabilities of the NSWMA so that we can now make it a national requirement for garbage separation. We want to be able to pack our plastic waste separately from our organic and other forms of waste.
Prime Minister Holness also made time last week to acknowledge the staff of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, MEGJC, for their collective contribution to national development.
You are an important part of the success of the ministry. The success of the government, the success of the country is you.
As head of MEGJC, Mr. Holness was addressing the General Staff meeting on Wednesday. He reminded the workers of the progress made by the government to reduce the unemployment rate and the country's debt-to-GDP ratio, stabilizing inflation and achieving economic recovery after COVID-19.
The point is that Jamaica today is not the same as Jamaica of the last 4 or 5 decades. significant changes have been made in the structure of our Jamaican economy.
Closing out the week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness empowered the 2024 cohort of the Youth Summer Employment Program. Over 10,000 young people between the ages of 17 and 29 years old will gain employment during the summer. They will be paid $60,000 during the period.
The job that you can get right now, do that job and do it well. It will become the stepping stone for the job you eventually want. And in fact, the job you get now, when you display the critical skills, discipline and ethic, it recommends you for the job you want.
YSEP 2024 is part of the broader government initiative to create summer job opportunities for the youth.
My experience of YSEP last year also gave me practical lessons about being a professional. The work had to be done on time, we had to report to work on time, the tasks had to be done properly. These things are just as important as studying for a degree or passing exams.
Prime Minister Holness was also at the National Stadium to support the athletes vying for a spot on the national team for the Paris Olympics in a few weeks. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Today is the perfect time to celebrate by eating eco-friendly. Choose locally sourced, organic foods to reduce your carbon footprint and support local farmers. Consider cutting down on meat consumption and opting for delicious plant-based meals. Support restaurants and businesses committed to sustainability. Together, we can savor delicious meals while preserving our planet for future generations.
For some children, a hurricane can be daunting, but as a family, you can learn how to address their concerns and prepare them for the unexpected. Let's hear what Associate Counseling Psychologist Jody Lee has to say.
What am I? Cat!
Yes, okay, it's my turn, What am I? Food? Is it a fruit? Apple.
Your turn.
What am I? Goat. Cow.
Nice.
Hey guys, seems like a hurricane is coming. What are we going to do? We need to be prepared. What are we going to do?
Don't worry, Lisa. We got this covered. Lisa. Don't worry.
What are we going to do? Everything will be okay.
Lisa, we got this covered. Don't worry.
Everything will be okay. All right? Okay, Joshua? Okay.
We are in the hurricane season, and it's important to be prepared for anything that can happen. A big part of that is having conversations with your children about the hurricane season and what to expect. Counseling psychologist Jody Lee is here to walk us through the process.
We start with the definition of what the hurricane is. Then you go into what are some of the features of a hurricane, what are some of the things that you might experience during a hurricane, so flooding depending on where you are, consistent rain, heavy downpours, lightning, thunder, and you get from them how they would feel about those things. Try to reassure them that we are handling the situation, and so by handling it means we have a family safety plan. So having a family safety plan would look like knowing the extent of preparation you need to do. So if you need to fix some things on your house, or if we need to get materials to batten down windows, check that roofs are okay, not leaking, find a particular area in the house that would be a safe zone. So finding things that we will need to put into a safety plan. So, you know, the basics, water, canned food, making sure that our documents are sealed. So you would go through that entire process with them, and you involve them as much as possible. But what we want them to know is okay if you are worried, but there are things that we can do to make sure that you are safe. And so, you know, one of those is to make sure that we are tuning into the radio and listening to the broadcast from reputable news sources. But with that also, you need to be careful as to how much you allow them to get that information. So it's important to maybe filter the information through yourself first. So you listen, you limit their access to it, and then you give them the information that they need in the moment, rather than them having access to all of this information, and it might feel like a little bit too much, a little too big, and they get overwhelmed. In preparation for a hurricane, you say to them, your devices might not work, and you know, we might have to be preserving batteries, so we're going to go old school and we're going to play some games, or you know, we're going to find little scavenger hunts around the house, but find things to make it interesting for them, find ways to help them to distract, but not just be distracted, but also to be connected to you so that they have that sense of security. The other thing to recognize with children, particularly the younger ones, is that their anxiety might come out through repetition. Try not to be irritated. Try not to think, all right, they're not listening and they're not paying attention. This is them trying to get security for themselves. This is them trying to make sure that the answer doesn't change, so that means things are going to be okay.
It is also important to have all your emergency numbers of government agencies, families, and friends that you can reach out to. It's best to place these at a position where the entire family is able to see them, or have the numbers on speed dial so you can make contact easily.
And that's it for today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow for another informative show. Remember to visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more news you can use. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.